Okay, here, and welcome to day 8 of the rehearsals here at the Altice Arena in Lisbon. Okay, so we've just seen the second rehearsal for the host country, Portugal, and the top 5. So, well,
because
we shall see.
They won't be all top 5, for sure.
Small 38 would like to be hit earlier.
Okay, so we will start with France. What do we think about France?
Great song as usual, but quite a boring, in my opinion, a bit boring staging. I just met the delegation that are really satisfied. That's exactly what they wanted to give the audience, something simple. It is fairly simple actually. But I think it can still do well. It all depends where they're going to when they're going to perform, and for example, if they perform after some cheap entry or some very hectic entry, that could stand out. But at least we must say that France did not try to do something to Eurovision. They respected the song, in my opinion. That's a very serious song, not sad, but a very serious song, and they respected it. I think the staging is not bad. Except when she's climbing this bridge, it takes ages for her to climb that bridge. And but I think that they're going to work on it. And last thing. Don't expect to see Madame Monsieur on stage because it's only Madame. You don't get to see him. Jean-Carl is not on screen that much, and they have to improve this as well because we don't get to see the duo. We only see the Emily. Yeah.
Yes, I mean we were speaking earlier, and we were saying that it actually reminiscent of the Netherlands Calm After the Storm staging, but they're actually moving about more rather than just sitting. But when they start moving about, you start to realize just how big the stage is, and they can't really fill it. No. So it just seems a little bit lost.
Exactly, and when we see both Portugal and Spain, we'll talk more about that, but they managed to do more intimacy on stage and use the stage more, even though it's big, to make it seem cozy and smaller.
Yes. Okay, so yeah, that's fine. So on to the UK. The staging is actually not bad. It's not as breathtaking as it was last year, but Surrey starts off in the middle of sort of diamond-shaped neon lighting, and because of the way it's lit, you sort of, it looks like it's coming in 3D perspective. Before and after her, and obviously there's quite a lot of fog, obviously, to give that sort of mystery. The thing I'm not really buying is there seems to be a lot of weird camera angles with this, sort of coming through the tunnel of lights at the end, and I think they're trying a bit too hard to try and sell the song, and it does suffer from the fact that the staging is possibly too good for this song. Yeah. I don't know. What do you?
Yeah, I think this is going to be one of those UK entries that just becomes like an anthem, but doesn't do very well at Eurovision. So I think it is a really good song, and they have done a little bit of work on the staging. It's not as good as Lucy from last year, in my opinion, but let's just see how she does. Obviously there is weird camera angles. I do like the lights, but the lights are very similar to Australia, I think, just a different shape. So again, people might get a bit bored of just the neon lights, but
and a different outfit.
Exactly. but also she's also wearing white, where there's a few artists that are wearing white. So again, it's a little white dress. But I do think it's going to be one of them songs that becomes like an anthem, but doesn't do very well at Eurovision.
Exactly.
It's like there is a kind of recipe to have a successful entry at Eurovision. You need a good singer. The UK has the good singer. She's really good. The staging, yes, it's a good staging. I mean, with that type of song, you can't do much more. It's a good staging, but the UK has to understand they need a good song, and I'm sorry, this song is far too average. We talk about this song because it's the UK. If it was something like San Marino, everybody would say, what's that song? So they have, I think next year, they have the recipe, they're just missing one ingredient. Have the good song, please, because now it's for 4 years in a row. The UK song is not bad, but it's far too average to expect anything. And I'm still think that the UK may finish in the bottom of the scoreboard on Saturday 12th.
Okay. And so we will move on to Germany.
Germany, Deutschland. Indeed. Well, connected to Denmark. I have to say, by far, Germany was the one that convinced me today of the Big Five in Portugal that this actually is could actually a contender to win. I was breathtaking actually. Well, while if you take the story in and you get his emotion, he's really emotional.
Yes.
Almost crying, and I did as well. So yeah, I think this. And we see some LED now on stage, and that makes it stand really out. But even though the staging is good, but he has a good voice, he has a good song, and he's very charismatic. So I think well done, Germany.
Yes, I mean you're right. It's the only sort of form of LED apart from this sort of Malta screens. But I think they use it quite effectively. It's mostly a lyric video within a dome, and there are elements of the song where it becomes almost sort of 3D interactive when they sort of go out into people, and I think it's really quite effective. But I liked the song from the beginning. You weren't convinced. But
the reason I weren't convinced is because it is a very Ed Sheeran kind of type of song. And obviously he is well known and he's global, but I do think people just get a bit bored of him and because he does the same kind of genre all the time. And I think when you see Germany and the fact that, no offence, it is a guy with ginger hair, they're just going to literally think of Ed Sheeran. I don't know whether that's going to boost votes or make people sort of depressed, because Adele and Ed Sheeran fans can get quite depressed sometimes. It won't, in the UK anyway. I don't know anywhere else in the world, but I know some of my friends and some of my colleagues that I work with, whenever Adele or Ed Sheeran comes on the radio, they're like, oh great, let's get the depression out. So I don't know how well this will go down here, but I have to admit the staging is very good.
Yes, I mean I think the emotion sort of overwhelms that sort of aspect, and we're not listening to a full album here. It is only a 3-minute song. So
I must say that I'm a virgin with Germany because I didn't see the rehearsal. But this is, I was talking with people in press center, the strongest of the Big Five this year. At least as far as reactions are concerned, people are really surprised and quite convinced. I think he's the dark horse, and it could be the new Salvador Sobral. Okay, the staging is more elaborate apparently than the Salvador Sobral, but it's all about emotions there. And last year it worked with Jamala. Emotion worked, so maybe we would have a third emotional winner in a row.
Yes.
One never knows.
Possibly.
Speaking of lyrics on the screen and using lyrics, well, Italy definitely did.
Yes, there's lots of lyrics on screen in various different languages. Everyone is included here.
Even Turkey.
Yes.
They put the lyrics in Turkey. Turkey is still not participating,
No.
Italy.
But they keep saying all aboard.
They're still in our hearts.
Yes, indeed.
Are they?
Indeed.
Joking.
But no, unfortunately, this song hasn't done anything for me at all. It gets lost. Their use of staging just looks awkward, and this, I'm sorry to say, but I think this, if Italy had to qualify, I don't think it would happen. I think they could be in the bottom rungs of the ladder. I don't know, what do you guys think?
I love it.
Yeah.
I just love it. But I think that's the Latin connection. This song will get 12 points from France, from probably Spain and Portugal. It's exactly what we expect in Eurovision. As I said before, southern countries, at least Latin countries, are a bit fed up with these Scandinavian gimmicks on stage. And this is... but I've only have one problem with the Italian entry this year. Okay, we have the lyrics on screen, but it's a bit too much. It's a bit too much, but that's a good idea. And actually, a lot of people were saying this morning that's a good idea. And why don't we have lyrics of all songs, subtitles of all songs, especially this year when you have so many songs in national languages? And I'm sorry, we don't speak all of them. But in Italy, they are very professional and. Actually, I prefer the song last year of Italy, Gabbani, but I prefer the staging this year because Gabbani was just messy, and this one is not messy, very classy, and I could see it doing very, very well. Given the winners we had previous years, I think this could do, maybe not win, but this could do well. This could do well as well.
I mean, we were discussing earlier that the lyrics were taking away from the performance because you were too busy looking at all the different lyrics in the various different languages and weren't actually paying attention to the song or the performance.
Because it's not like a subtitle.
No, it's all over
on the screen. Yeah.
Yes.
And I think the idea is really good. I think it's too much though.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Okay, so on to another Latin country.
The two last one are Latin, and the two last one are boring. Let's face it. We should start with Spain. I'm sorry, I know Spanish people are just in love with their song. I'm not. I've seen Frozen 2 times. I'm okay. I don't need to hear the song once again. Okay, it's sweet. I'm still one of those who think this is a bit awkward. That they look like brothers and sisters on screen, and but it's not their fault. They are young and in love, but it doesn't work on screen. There's something wrong. It's a bit creepy sometimes.
Yes, absolutely.
But the song is not my type of song. It used to be in 1985 maybe, but not now. No. The staging is... The clip was boring and the staging is boring. To me, I'm not saying it's not good, it's just, it does nothing to me.
Well, no, I think they're not using the stage to the best of its ability. Yeah. With this type of song, which is obviously a love song, you would expect them to start off separately.
A passion song.
Well, yes, absolutely.
They can make love on stage, actually, at the end of the song.
But you would expect them to sort of separate and start with a yearning for one another and then end up together. But they sort of spend the entire 3 minutes together, sort of cuddling and doing their thing, and it doesn't work, and especially
because they look like brother and sister.
Well, yes, this.
Okay, yeah.
That's what.
The other thing didn't work for Estonia last year with
Yes, yes, indeed. And then lastly, we have Portugal,
host country. I was surprised actually because I didn't like the song in the national final. I was like, that girl on the chair, I know she's the songwriter, but get rid of her.
Yes.
What is she doing on that chair sitting?
She's the girlfriend, and they want to give the message. She's the girlfriend.
Yeah.
They want to give the message of open-mindedness and everything.
And what they do now speaks to me more because they actually include her in the performance more, and I get it now. And I actually find it's an okay song. It's not my winner at all.
I would say
grown on me.
I would say it's a good song.
Yeah.
I've loved it from the start. I would say it's Salvador Sobral without the charisma of Salvador Sobral.
Yeah.
They like a bit, and wearing a pink wig is not enough to have charisma on stage. But it's really classy, really nice. It's Portugal, so we pay attention to it because we're in Portugal. Let's face it, if we were back in Kiev, everybody would say, okay, that song, and we would forget it after 2 minutes.
Absolutely.
She has the host country effect, and good for them. If they had to go through national semi-final, I think they would not qualify.
No.
Even if it's a really good song, really decent song, and at least Portugal, after giving us so many crappy songs in coming years, since Salvador Sobral, they seem to have understood that they need to give quality.
And in total, we see a Big Five and host country that's quite strong. Actually, I think it's one of the stronger years for the Big Five because let's face it, Big Five usually sucks.
Yeah, but I think
they have struggled.
As we were saying, it's a strong contest this year because no country is giving the mock entry we have usually. All countries took the contest seriously. All countries have sent singers this year, and we don't have any showman with no talent at all we had before. Like it or not, there are some songs that show weaker than the other one.
Of course.
I think it's going to be a good contest. Maybe not the best on screen because it's less spectacular, obviously, less entertaining.
Each other now.
It's less entertaining than, but that's what the Portuguese wanted.
Yeah,
of course.
That's what the Portuguese wanted.
And they got it. So
and they got it, and they do it a really good way. And now I'm looking forward to look at the dress rehearsal to see how all these together can fit, and the postcards and the graphics because it's part of it, and the hosts because we saw the host the other day. Believe me, at least one of the four is really good. Is really Filomena. So we can expect something big, and not just from the Big Five.
Well, yes, and I think this year we are going to have a very close contest. We are not going to know the winner from the beginning at all. I think there's a handful of countries that could walk away with it, and there are another handful that could be dark horses and steal it away. So I think it should be a very exciting contest.
And don't check the odds anymore because Israel is still in top, but nobody speaks about Israel lately.
No, but we don't know what Europe says when they see it for the first time.
Exactly. So it's going to be an exciting contest.
Yes,
unlike last year where the winner was quite obvious after 2 or 3 countries voted.
Of course.
This year is going to be quite exciting.
Yes. Yeah. So tell us in the comments below about who you think is going to win this year and who you think should qualify. Goodbye, and we will see you after semi-final 1.
A te breve, ciao.